Ingredients, we'll run through them bit by bit. So essentials first of all. If you're going to make hot and sour soup, you have to have these ingredients, okay? So this is stock. So I've got 2 stock cubes in here. I was going to use fresh chicken stock that I've got, but I forgot to get it out of the freezer. So this is literally 2 stock cubes. I'm using chicken, but you can use vegetable. You could even use beef stock, I guess. Beef stock might be a bit rich. Dark soy sauce. So dark soy sauce for the colour and the sweetness. Light soy sauce for the saltiness. Vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, you can use cider vinegar, malt vinegar, even white vinegar if you've got it. So any vinegar really, obviously not balsamic. White pepper, and the Chinese or especially Cantonese food, we use white pepper rather than black pepper in most of the dishes, just so you get that subtle background heat. We've got salt in this bowl, we've got some sugar in this one, we've got corn flour, which we're going to use to thicken. Now for the colour and taste, we've got good old tomato ketchup, use any brand you want, I like Heinz personally, and then we have some tomato puree. Okay, for the fillings, so it depends on what you've got. Traditionally, in a hot and sour soup, you'll have bamboo shoots, which I don't have, so I'm not putting those in. I'm going to put some matchstick carrots, so I'll peel that in a second. Now this stuff is funky. So it's dried first of all, and it's called wood ear mushroom. And all you do is rehydrate it in a hot water, and it's weird, but it's got like a crispy, it's got a bite to it as you eat it, and it is a mushroom, so it's wood ear mushroom. So I've got a couple of pieces of wood ear mushroom which we'll chop down. I don't know if you can see the stalk here, we'll chop the stalk out because that's a bit chewy. I've got some tofu. Now my tofu is super firm. Now this was regular firm tofu, but when you put tofu into your freezer and then defrost it, it firms up even more. So if you want a bit more texture, pop it in the freezer for a couple of days, take it out, and it gives you a really firm block of tofu then, okay? Also essentials, chilies, whether that's dried chili, fresh chili, or whatever you've got. So I've got some dried chilies going in. We have some peas, and I've got a couple of eggs, which I'll break in a second and get those whisking. There's 1.8 litres of stock here. This is going to be a lot of soup. I want to cut these into matchsticks. I'm going to take the end off. I'm going to chop my carrot into about a matchstick size shape. Just chop this into thin tiles or slices. Taking these tiles, I'm just going to lay them out on my chopping board. So watching your fingers, again, just tuck your knuckles, tuck your fingertips away, and I'm going to use the flat of the knuckle against the blade so I can't chop my fingers, hopefully. So there's my heap of carrots. Oh, I thought Alexa had stopped then for a second. I'll put that to one side. I'll then take my tofu. Now, you could chop the tofu into the same shape with that, but it's quite awkward to eat, obviously, when it goes in the mouth. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chop them into about a 1 centimetre cube. And you see, it's a lot firmer once it's been in the freezer. So it doesn't fall apart so easy. I've got my dried chilies. I am going to just take some of the seeds out. You don't actually get the heat from the seeds anyway. It starts to come up to the boil, guys. So if it has, just turn it down to a simmer because I'm not quite ready for it yet. And I'll get rid of some of these seeds. Now I'm going to chop these into tiny, thin slices. And then we've just got to do our wood ear mushroom. So this piece is just a piece of leaf or just a piece of mushroom. So again, I'm just going to chop it into slices. And then I'm just going to chop around this central root bit. So you end up with like it's not dead hard, but it's quite tough. So I don't want that bit, so I'm just going to get rid of that bit. Let's season this up. So again, because I'm going with the recipe book, I'm going to go to the recipe, okay? So we're going to add in, first of all, half a tablespoon of dark soy sauce. I'm not going to measure, I'm going to buy it. So half tablespoon of dark soy sauce. That is followed by a whole tablespoon of soy sauce. And this is the light soy. So the dark soy for sweetness, umami, and the colour. The light for the saltiness. So there's a tablespoon of light soy sauce going in. In that goes. Then the vinegar. Working in a Chinese takeaway and trying to get out 50 takeaways in a matter of between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock at night, you learn to go quick. You've got no choice, otherwise people are moaning and saying, where's my order? You said 10 minutes, and it's not been 10 minutes, it's been 20 minutes. Rice vinegar, 6 tablespoons. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 6 or thereabouts. I'll try it in a minute. I like mine quite tart, so I'll probably put a bit more vinegar in anyway. Okay, chilies go in now. So get your dried chilies or fresh chilies or whatever chili you've got and get those in. We'll get the heat back up a bit more. White pepper, so about half a teaspoon of white pepper. So to me, that's a good pinch. And 1.5 teaspoons of salt. So that's probably 2 really good pinches of salt. Maybe a bit more actually, about 3 pinches I'd say actually. And 1 more. So 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar. We talked about this on Friday night when I was cooking. Chinese food's about trying to blend the savouries and the sweets, and it is a blend. So this is all we're trying to do. So what did I say? 2 teaspoons, wasn't it? So 1, 2, say 3 pinches or thereabouts. I might add a bit more actually. I shouldn't, but I am. A teaspoon of tomato puree. I'm going to probably put a little bit more in because I like it again quite tart. So, teaspoon of tomato puree, 4 tablespoons of tomato ketchup. So, 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons. Now I've got a wooden spoon. I'm going to give this a stir and make sure that everything is well incorporated and tomato sauce isn't sitting at the bottom of the pan. And now for my veggies. So I'm going to add my wood ear mushroom. So obviously if you're using any vegetables or meats now, guys, get it in. If you're using raw meat, get it in now and make sure it's cooked before you start eating. Normally in a Chinese takeaway, the meat is already cooked. So if we're using, the pork's already cooked, the shrimps are already cooked. Obviously the tofu's cooked already. So if you are using raw meat, also as well, the meat should be about the same size as the tofu. So it should be in small pieces, so it will cook quick in the liquid anyway. And let it come back up to the boil. I've not added my peas yet. Now the reason I'm not adding my peas yet is because peas tend to go grey or like a brown colour when they've been sitting in liquid too long. I'm going to put egg in mine. So I'm just going to crack the eggs into my bowl. Mike Rev 316, he's my best mate. We've got a proper bromance going on there, and we used to work the doors together. So back in my younger days I was a doorman and I worked down in Portsmouth and we worked at a bowling alley, and the first time we met we hated each other. Like, he thought he was the bee's knees and he wasn't. He was a skinny doorman to be quite honest, and we used to take the mickey out of him. Frozen peas, or your peas now, stick your peas in. Now I want you to turn the heat right up to high please, and you need this on a rolling boil. Now you should have made a corn flour slurry. If you haven't, in fact, you know what, go and do it now. You need about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of corn flour, about 4 to 6 tablespoons of water. So if you go and do that quick, and then once you've got that, mix it. So mine's gone solid because it's been sitting a little while, but be patient with it and start manipulating it with your fingers until it becomes a liquid again. Now, have you ever been into a Chinese takeaway or restaurant and you order the soup, and then as you're eating it, it looks like there's a clump of snot in it? That's the best way of describing it. That's because they've not mixed the bloody corn flour properly, and they've dumped it in and it's congealed and you get like a lump of snot and it's horrible. You know, all you got to do is mix it and you don't get it. So it's boiling. I'm now stirring with my spoon, and I'm slowly, and I mean slowly, going to start pouring in the corn flour, and it's in constant motion. As soon as it hits the soup, it's moving around. Now I've got about 2 tablespoons here, and it's a big pot of soup, so I'm going to use all of it. Okay, so once this comes back up to the boil, I'm going to switch it off, and then I'm going to do my egg swirl. And then we're going to finally finish off with some sesame oil. Now, people probably recognise these. This is the sesame oil that you get in packet Chinese noodles. Now I've got bottles of sesame oil, but like all Chinese, I don't like throwing things away, and I always end up with a couple of sachets left over. So I thought I'd use these tonight. So again, this is just sesame oil, pure sesame oil. Don't buy the blended rubbish because it's rubbish. My soup's back up to the boil. I'm going to switch it off. My egg's whisked, and I'm just going to tipple this in, stirring the whole time. And the heat of the soup is going to cook the egg. And then I'm going to open my sachets of sesame oil. And I'm going to put that in. I'm going to use 2 because it's a big bowl of soup. And there we go. We have hot and sour soup. Let me get you a spoon of this so you can have a look at mine. Bowl of hot and sour soup. Vegetarian mine is. Well, it's not actually. It's got chicken stock in. I hope you enjoyed, guys. So next week, 6:30 on Wednesday, Instagram Live, Chinese curry. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy your soup. Stay home, stay safe, and I shall see you again soon, all right? Bye.